we'll give it, let me just give it another couple of minutes. I guess I'm tempted then if you have any updates on plants to just let you go first. And then,
Okay.
we don't really, I hate to say it, but we don't have any real definitive, go-aheads from Caltrans yet. We're still
Okay.
working through it all. But, Greg and I were just discussing some aspects of the design. And I think we need to decide on, some of those tweaks if we're going to be making them to the plans, and maybe, Paul, since you're on, you could weigh in on that. But I suppose that could be part of the conversation today as well. But yeah, other than that, we don't really have too many updates. I think it's, we're working through the permitting process, but that also entails, it's not just the design, it's, using school property for storage and
Right.
installing Numinous sensors. And so we kind of have all these lovely additional permitting steps that we weren't anticipating. But I think it's slowly all being uncovered and we're getting through it. We just don't have, we still can't set a date yet.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess, Kathy, do you want to give us an update on plants? Sure.
Yeah. So I heard back from John. He called me. He's not on, I don't see him on the call, John Lamar. He's told me he was having a hard time. He essentially was going to try to get 80 cuttings that were good size succulents that we were going to use, and then we were going to purchase the remainder of the plants. But apparently he hasn't been able to get them. He told me he was going to contact you and let you know. So what I did was I actually reached out to the vendor I'm dealing with and said, can you give me a price on an additional 85-gallon plants? She hasn't got back to me, so I'm gonna have to call her back this afternoon.
Okay.
So once again, so far I've only got 80 of the plants donated, but I'm working on trying to get a further beyond a contractor's discount on the other ones.
Okay.
So there's that. Then John, he was supposed to be working on a planting mix for all these succulents that he was going to get. And I guess now maybe he doesn't have to do it. So now I'm going back to the, this is in regards to the soil mix, to Agrimin, who actually sent me a form. Potentially I'll get it all donated, or hopefully a portion of it, or a good discount on the soil mix. But they keep asking me when, and I don't have a date. And I just have, well, estimated middle of August, but we have to go through the permitting and etc. Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I have it kind of all figured out in my head how it will work when we get it. Yeah. And I'll write it down. And I figured the easy thing that we could do for the planting part is, I know what the plant material is, and maybe just do like 3 laminated pages and just say, the first so many planters they're going to have, this is the planting arrangement, how much soil you're going to need, just to make it easy for the volunteers.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Anyway,
yeah, so I know it's kind of hard to like ask for urgency for anyone to give you answers when we don't even really have a date yet.
Yeah, with the plants, I have said to my vendor, I go, look, I told her, everything needs to look great. And, in the nursery trade, things are just changing, as far as like what they look like, and the rate of sales also. So something they may have had last week, they're not going to have this week. But so I'm trying to secure it for something that's going to look good through the fall. But I did say we could potentially have an early delivery. So I secure the material and we start at the public works yard, which I know Greg's on here and had agreed to. So I keep throwing that out to the nursery.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, I would do that, because I think as long as that just helps move things along, and we make sure that once we have a date, it's just not like a mad dash to then finalize all of this stuff. If you're
exactly, it's almost better to have it there a little early, even though we're going to have to schlep it over, and potentially water it a couple times before the planting date. But I also wanted to say, last time you were mentioning something about picking up the plant material. To tell you the truth, I'm going to try to get everything out from one vendor. And even if we have to pay for the delivery and it's like $75 or even $100 or whatever, it's just worth it to have it all come together and be coordinated and have them deliver it to Ojai. In my opinion, John had the same thought.
Okay.
So
Cool.
just because we've been doing this for years and we just know how it's just easier to coordinate it.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
Kathy, can I ask
Yeah.
you a question?
Sure.
What kind of plant material was John trying to get? What kind of succulents? I may have a.
Well, we were trying to get 80 like agave attenuatas, the foxtail agave, that's the soft leaf, not the spiny one, and or aloes that probably had a head on them at about, say, a minimum of 12 inches, 12 to 18 inches, which is like the equivalent of about a 5-gallon containered succulent.
Okay.
Because we need to have a little impact. You know, people are going to be driving by, so you want them to see it. It needs to look good. So, and then, you know.
I might have a source for some of those. Let me check into it.
But I need 80.
Well,
But let me know. Yeah.
And Kathy, what was the issue? Was the issue that the hopeful donation just isn't coming through? Is that the problem right now?
Yeah, I know John was working with Lawrence, and then Lawrence didn't get back to him. And then he said first they could find something, then they couldn't. So, you know, I talked to him last week, and I just said, well, it seems like we need to get it set up and secured, because the issue with the succulents is you have to, you know, you cut them, you're harvesting them, you have to let it kind of callus over, and ideally you want them to start rooting. So John was essentially setting up a program to collect them all, make a special soil mix, pot them all up. So, you know, we can do it. It's just a little work, and it should have happened probably weeks ago.
Yeah, I'll try to reach out to you, you know, if there's something we can do to assist him. Maybe doing it in the yard if we can help mix the soil and stuff. I think we pretty much offer that up, you know, where there's room to mix with our existing soils or whatever. But it sounds like the cuttings are kind of the issue, right? To find the cuttings and get those donated.
Yeah, and he just hadn't, I guess something fell through. I'm not sure exactly what. So then at that point, he said, well, now I'm going to ask Lawrence to find it somewhere else. And I said, well, why don't I check with my vendor? I looked at their availability. They have them to keep it easy and not have stuff coming from all over the place and extra delivery fees. If we get it from one place, there's less money going out. If we can do that, which I think we can. So, and then Greg, the other thing is I'm trying to get a soil mix completely donated from Agriman. My backup plan is, if they don't do it, to partially use some of the soil you have. And is that a sandy loam? Are you aware of the soil type?
The soil is, most of what we have in the yard was soil from when they built the Topo winery, you know, at the old car dealerships next to the Ohio Valley Inn. That's
Paul and I were on that project.
sorry, you worked on it?
Paul and I both worked on that project.
Okay. I think it's a bit more clay, actually.
I think it is more clay, which isn't ideal for a planning for what we're doing, unless we can mix it, which
Right, there was some talk
have
about
to do anyway.
almost equal amount of sand in it, mixing sand with it. We
Okay.
might have some other soils down there. We don't, total quantity, we're not that much, but if anybody sees a project where they have great soil, we have a dump truck as well, a couple small ones at the city.
Okay.
We'll grab it if somebody knows of any.
I'm gonna shoot for trying to get the 9 cubic yards donated. That's my goal. And then plan B is that I have to get amendments to add to what you have, which I will still try to get donated or just get further discounted.
I'm wondering if at the Ojai Valley Organics, which has been locked and closed, there was that huge pile of mulch and compost there. I think it's probably just sitting there. You know, that giant mound they had there?
Yeah. I don't
And
know.
I bet that could be available.
I guess you'd have to contact somebody if it's closed, how to get in there. And I'm gonna pursue what I'm doing right now. But if anyone has any backup things and they want to follow through, and then just let me know that we have a plan B or C, that's fine too. So Ray, if you want to pursue that, and then find out if it's available and contact the person.
Yeah,
And if so, what it is and how much, then I can kind of figure out, because I want to make sure the mix is correct.
yeah.
We have good drainage and the plants are going to thrive. So
A quick note on that too is, as far as I've heard, this is all hearsay, but that the Ojai Valley Organics, that CJ Shade was pursuing it, but the permit process was driving him a bit bonkers. I think this is rumor that he's backed out, and there's somebody called AgriChip. I don't know if anybody knows them out of Santa Barbara that might be pursuing it. A guy named Art Gonzalez. That's what last thing I heard.
okay.
So does that mean the the original leaseholder still has it?
Right. Yeah, I think they'd still be the lease on the property, and it'd be all their property, whatever exists.
The original guy. Okay. Yeah.
So that's my update. And then Dana, like as soon as you have anything regarding dates, and or Greg, if I can secure the material, meaning the plant material sooner, I'll let you know, and we can make an arrangement to have the delivery to the public works yard. And I'm happy to go there and help them offload or whatever we need to do and set it up. But the soil, I really almost feel like that's something we should wait on and have delivered at the school, so that we don't have to take it from the public works yard. If it just seems easier.
Yeah, that's something that we're working on right now, is making sure to get the proper permit to use the school parking lot as a temporary construction easement.
Right.
So that's part of this other kind of thing that's popped up that we're working with the school on, because we want to be able to deliver materials and store and lay materials, right there in their parking lot. So
exactly.
Yeah, that's just all the more reason to kind of proceed with that.
My concern would be whatever we can do to get those plants growing so that they're sizable and are sizable, attractive plants. When we put them out there, they're not just little.
Well, no, I've already put that out on my specs to them, that I'm telling them what I need.
Yeah.
And which I do a lot on my projects. I'll tell them up front I'm looking for a certain size, full bloom or whatever, and that's what I'm doing. So yeah, I agree. They need to look really, the best that they can when they go in and through the season.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for continuing to work on that.
Sure.
That's really helpful. I guess, does anybody have any other questions? I mean, this can be really short and sweet. Yeah.
Dana, I was a couple of minutes late because I was waiting to be let in. So did I miss your explanation why there's a Caltrans delay? Is it just a normal delay, or is there something we should be aware of?
No, there's nothing really to be aware of. We're just,
okay.
It's just it's just a complex process. So we're working as fast as we can, but we, I guess a criticism of the process would be that it's essentially being permitted as a permanent project when it's a temporary project. So we're going through all of the processes. Like Caltrans they're providing us with as much help as we need, but there's no streamlining of the process really that's being done. So, it's almost taking as long as it would for a permanent project, which is not the idea. Like they're not able to skip any part of the process, right? So if somebody else needs to get involved, there needs to be another permit, or something else submitted. Like we have to go through all of the hoops. So
I want to throw in too, Dana, that, and I think you're aware of this, Susan, is that a lot of people are saying, why are we even proceeding now with the demonstration when school is not being held in person? We're not, some people are only concerned with the squeeze that happens for 12 minutes or so, that potential traffic congestion. I hate to overemphasize it, because whenever we meet with traffic engineers, they have a hard time understanding our concerns, because it's relatively extremely minimal compared to any other bigger city. But we have that 12-minute pinch in the morning at 7:30 to 40. We have it in the afternoon when school gets out, and they want to see that. So a lot of people are saying delay it as much as you can until school is in normal you know, in normal attendance. So that's where we want to get it permitted because it can be so difficult with Caltrans. They have it all ready to roll, but then in some respects delay it. Because even if they did, what's the right now the restriction I think on the school is that the county needs to be off the state hot list for 14 days in order for them to do the hybrid school attendance. So if we get off the hot list for 14 days, they could go back to the hybrid approach, which is going to be half the students attending Monday through Thursday, nobody on Friday. So that's still not really creating that congestion that people want to test. So, you know, all this stuff, you know, it's really almost not a big push to get it done or operating in the fall at this point. We still want to get it out there so people just get a feel for the single lane, the lane reduction and all that and how it operates. But there is less urgency. The urgency a little bit is connected to the permanent project, has tighter deadlines on it. And it's good for us to get this thing out and show the granting agency, which is CTC, otherwise known as the California Transportation Commission. And to show them we're making progress, and it will validate our extension we're requesting on the permanent project, which they are very reluctant to provide extensions on those projects. So anyways, I mean, some of us want to delay it, but so we do want to get it permitted and get it moving at the same time.
May I comment?
Yeah.
Well, two things. Let me see if I can remember them. I was listening. The thing that comes to my mind is that there is an increasing number of cyclists, but there's no, no infrastructure for them. More and more people riding on the sidewalk, and they're almost always, when I come in the evening, on the other side of the highway, which they're already going to be used to a 2-lane bikeway there, I guess. But I want to just remind when people say that the issue about not having school, remember that you said that Caltrans will extend it if necessary, so that we can get a better picture of when school is in session. Normal, that's right?
And just to clarify that, yeah, I think the demonstration is actually the same granting agency, the CTC, for both projects, the permanent and the
That's cool.
demonstration. Yeah. And they'll extend the demonstration. It doesn't have the tight restrictions on it. But to extend the permanent project is a much more restricted process. It has to be very formal. We get one opportunity to request an extension. And it'll be based on, hey, the demonstration, we couldn't do it because of COVID. And so we have one opportunity to request that. Mm-hmm.
I see. So you're saying that the delay of the demonstration project, even if it's extended, would somehow jeopardize the timing of the permanent? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the idea was to do the demonstration, incorporate any lessons learned, and get it permitted by February of 2021, so we could proceed with construction in the summer, fall of 2021. So now we'll be asking for an extension so we can fully learn the lessons of the demonstration. And CTC on that permanent project has a lot of restrictions, they just came out with these new rules, that luckily, I mean, they were going to say if your project is supposed to go to construction, they call it allocation when they authorize you to proceed with construction. And if you only through December of 2020, any projects past that can't even apply for it. Well, luckily we asked, hey, how about, that's not fair. Our project has a final cutoff in February 2021. So they did agree to let us be in that group. So we have the right to request an extension. So the group people are just submitting those and are kind of setting precedents now. So how long will they extend it based on COVID impacts and all that? We're not quite sure, but we're certainly hoping we get like a 6-month extension, which would allow us to test the demo up into the spring of 2021 to see the impacts of hopefully school in full session and learn the lessons and incorporate those in the final design and get it in that permit. I hope that answers your question, Mr. Campbell.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll turn off my,
May I say something?
Yeah.
I was going to say, if the schools reopen this fall, Greg was saying if we get taken off the state watch list, I heard the schools they're going to do like what is it, like a block days, like half the school goes on one day and half the school goes on the other day. So it won't be like normal classes. Like it won't. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear you on that. I agree, Cody. I think that wasn't really a full test. With if they were able to start as normal in August as planned, it would have been still roughly half the traffic, right? I don't know who even knows, like full staff and half the students. So it would not have been ideal. So we're hoping, that in the spring semester, whatever, the January second half of the school, that they would be back to full attendance. It's hopeful that the way it's going. It's a wild guess, right? So we'd like to see that tested with full attendance.
Yeah.
I'd like to share an observation based on what Souza was saying, that there's more and more cyclists. I ride my bike a lot on that section of road because that's how I get home. And what I noticed between El Roblar to the high school is that many bicyclists actually get up onto the sidewalk there versus staying on the road, because there's no street lights there. It's totally dark. So if someone doesn't have lights or reflectors and it's nighttime, that's mostly when I see it, people are hopping up onto the sidewalk. And actually, even during the day yesterday, there were 3 cyclists on the sidewalk during the day. While I was on the road, I stay on the road because people are also walking. I've seen people walking on the sidewalk, and then 2 or 3 bicyclists on the sidewalk as well. So that seems pretty consistent that that's happening on that road, but especially at night.
People
all
riding.
day long, yeah.
Yeah, riding on the sidewalk,
Yeah, I see whole
especially at night.
families,
Yeah,
especially
there's
families.
I don't know why there's no street lights there, but it's
Yeah.
completely black on that part of the road at night.
Okay.
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, we haven't been able to really observe it at night, but I don't know. It'll be interesting. Ideally the protected infrastructure makes people feel safe riding in the road all the time, as opposed to just during the day or riding on the sidewalk at all. I mean, all of the delineators and the planters they have the retroreflective striping. So at night, they're going to be very reflective, which is good. I know that's not lighting, but it's at least, to make people aware of the buffer and the bike lane presence. But yeah, I guess that's something that we'll also be evaluating. The Numina sensors at each intersection, we'll be able to tell if people are kind of getting on and off the bike lanes, or on and off the sidewalk into the bike lane at intersections. And maybe that's an indication that they still don't feel safe in the riding through the intersections. I don't know. We'll have to just see what the sensors pick up there. So anyways, I guess we just had, hi, Cindy. We are, unfortunately, I think wrapping up unless anyone else has any questions. We are working as fast as we can. We'll update you guys as soon as we have more things for you guys to do. Because as soon as we have those dates, we want to start soliciting volunteers and kind of re-ramping up the outreach, I guess. So.
Well,
if I could add something briefly to Dana, was just
Yeah.
Dana, Paul, and I, and the ATP permit design consultant, we're all working on basically points that some of the opposition, other people have raised, and just so we kind of have it's almost like a frequently asked question. I mean, and so we have some responses we'll put on the website to improve the availability and be able to refer people when asked those kind of questions, about what are we going to do about when the school starts, the congestion, how is this being handled? And then one of the concerns that was raised is U-turns. When people come to school and they drop off kids out front, how do they U-turn towards the Y? So we had a U-turn available at the hospital, and we had a U-turn southbound available at the Meadows, and we're working with Caltrans to assure that those are not, that they try not to permit those out. So we're trying to address the U-turn thing, and part of it, we're doing a truck management plan downtown as well as out in Maricopa that assures we know where trucks turn and that they can utilize these curb extensions. So these are the kind of things that have been brought up just lately, but we're certainly addressing all that stuff. And we have an extremely thorough permit review process with Caltrans. If you wouldn't believe, I mean, Dana, I think, is in shock still probably that we, I don't know how many, at least a dozen to 20 different reviewers looking at every facet of the project. So that's partly on the downside why it takes so long to permit anything with Caltrans, but they get sued on any kind of issue that comes up. So they are extremely thorough. So that, painful, but on the other side, it's thorough, and we're looking at all this stuff. So we're confident we're covering them. But there was an issue. I know one of the truck turning templates was not completed. Caltrans had already commented, so did Paul and I on the review of the 60% design. So there's some tweaks being done on some of these curb extensions to fit the appropriate truck templates and that kind of stuff. So anyways, just to kind of give you an update of all of that kind of issues going on the side.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question, Greg, when you're done?
Sure, I'm done.
What about, I like it when you call them the opposition. It's kind of makes it interesting. They're one of their things is that we should be, it says on, on their flyer, install flashing red lights for pedestrian crossing safety. They claim that people don't notice the yellow blinking lights, but how do you determine which of those two is the better choice?
Right, and what they're talking about, there's an acronym HAWK, and I can't even think of what HAWK means, but when you drive towards Ventura on 33 in Casita Springs, that's called a HAWK device. And I was almost going to try to take a shot at the acronym, but anyways, I'll skip it. But basically, it's that long arm that extends over the whole roadway, and the pedestrian hits the button, it stops traffic, right? It goes caution, and then it goes to red, we have to stop, and then it goes flashing red, which means proceed when it's safe, if the pedestrian is clear of the wall. So those are called HAWKs. They're ideal for that type of situation. So that would be a consideration to stop traffic, especially on Caltrans right of way. You've got to warrant it that there's enough pedestrian demand. You can stop traffic and all that. They're expensive. We've already put in flashing beacons.
I like the flashing beacons. I think they work fine. I just want to be able to, when they bring that up, be able to say something.
It's an alternative approach. And just to say, the goal on their part is to eliminate the curb extensions and eliminate some of the justification for the lane reduction. Get rid of the curb extension.
I see.
And they'll say, you can make it safe. You'll stop all the traffic, and you don't have to worry about whether it's 2 or 4 or 5 lanes there, so that's kind of the approach is we got the answer, put in these HAWK devices and skip your lane reduction into curb extensions and go about it that way.
I like acronyms, so I looked it up. It's a high intensity activated crosswalk.
If anybody remembers that, next meeting I'll be impressed.
Yeah. Well, Greg, I can tell you, and I'm sure other people will testify, almost every time, especially, morning and evening, somebody passes me if I'm doing the speed limit, and all it takes is one crazy guy, to cause an accident. And that's all that is that second lane is primarily a passing lane for speeders. And if we just keep saying that, maybe it'll sink in. That's, I keep seeing that. And we have some really aggressive, young guys in these, I don't know if it's the same one, but they all seem to have a giant black truck that like to tailgate when I'm driving the speed limit. And I stopped for a squirrel the other day and they almost hit me. The poor little thing didn't move, so I had to wait. And you should have heard them. They sound like a motorcycle behind me. And so I'm more, the more I observe, and I've been observing a long time, the more I'm adamant that for the safety of everyone, it's one lane, not two lanes. I'll get off my high horse here.
Love it.
Well, I guess
Okay,
that'll be our big challenge, right? The demonstration flows well with with lane reduction, and that the demonstration proves that. So that's the great response really, is that the demonstration will show what we're talking about. Can we survive with 2 lanes for that 0.6 miles or so? Or is it critical? No, there's not 4 lanes anywhere else in the whole valley except for Oakview, right? And so I think Cindy Candle's on the line that there's some proposals underway to even reduce that, because it's like we all recognize the passing lane generally doesn't. They're all built originally to allow a slow down location to pull into a driveway or a quick acceleration out of a driveway. So those are still being accommodated in this project design. Will be a slow down area to pull into the hospital, to make turns to significant driveways and so on. And otherwise, yes, you'll have to, whoever's the driving will control the speed of other traffic, unless you want to try to scoot by on the shoulder or somehow, you know.
I have a little question. May
Yeah.
I? Did everyone see the history that Paul Crabtree put the articles on how that highway, that little stretch of highway came about? I did forward it as an attachment about a week ago to everyone who gets Jeffrey Weinstein's emails, and I sent it to the council. Did you get a chance to see it, Tara and Ray and Dana?
I saw it, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's the history of how that came about. The city manager did it against everybody's wishes. And I actually got an email the other day from someone that was part of that campaign. You know, they collected 3,000 signatures opposing the 4-lane highway, but he slipped that in anyway. Anyway, they did prevent it from going any further, or it would have gone through Miners Oaks and all of Ojai.
Who wrote it?
Interesting.
This is from these are articles from 1968 to 1973. It was a done deal, so-called done deal, that the state was going to put in a 4-lane highway from Santa Paula to Carpinteria through the valley. They were going to drain the wetland,
Right.
you know, and put in a shopping center. All of that, you know, they stopped it. But the city manager was not on board, and he quit after those signatures were collected and the state finally backed down. And he had good intentions, because that's what every city was doing,
Yeah.
you know. But anyway,
I'm not sure I got that email. I'd love to read it.
I'll send it to you again. Yeah, it's easy. Paul made it easy. He put everything in chronological order.
Wonderful.
Pretty amazing history. I think that was Mayor Lobel at the time, right? There's a
Yeah, he led the charge.
yeah.
And then Huckins got on board.
Hundreds
Yeah,
of people would attend those meetings to oppose Caltrans's plans. And it was
Yeah,
a hot issue, and it was called the Citizens to Preserve the Ojai, the CPO. And
yeah,
they really say that saved the Ojai Valley, because obviously a 4-lane highway from Ventura up here and going up to Carpinteria or to Carpinteria or Santa Paula would have expanded. There would have been no limits on growth for this valley. It would have been a different world.
yeah.
Is that when the defense fund became a thing? Or-
No, that was later. Remember, we're old. Well, I am. This was 1968.
But it's rooted in the same
You weren't even born yet.
Yeah.
Paul.
preserve the
Yeah.
Ojai, right? So the defense fund
Yeah.
is probably similar people. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Hi, everybody. It's Cindy. I'm so sorry to be delayed. I have that 10:30 meeting on Wednesdays that I have to attend, so I apologize. But I think my colleague Brian Brennan listened in today so that he could update me. And also I wanted to share that we had a discussion with Caltrans yesterday regarding, you know, our Oakview efforts, and they indicated they're going to, you know, the studies that they're doing, Greg, about your curb extensions, they're going to apply to our project. So it's so we're in this together, and I just wanted to say, you know, thanks to everybody, and I'm looking forward to Brian updating me on how the earlier part of your meeting went.
Cool, thanks, Cindy.
Yeah, because that's something we're doing our truck management plan. I mean, we study where all the truck traffic is, and templates, and it's an extensive process. So
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
nice through it with us. They often joke about how much effort Caltrans is spending supporting the Ojai project, for such a small amount of people that they deal with on other projects, the citizenship and all that of the area. So they're kind of joking with us, but it'll be good to kind of have a lot of that stuff figured out and processes developed and all that. So when they deal with that, because it isn't really that common that they have state highways where they actually do lane reductions. It's people are looking at these kind of things, and Caltrans is committed to supporting it, where they used to just oppose it and say, no way, we're about bigger, better, not about smaller, slower, So
yeah, we're lucky we have a good group, and we have a really good, district, the head of the district. So it's a great time to be trying to improve our communities this way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's
muted.
really exciting if Oakview gets reduced. That'll change the downtown Oakview. It'll be like it used to be, a nice, friendly downtown.
Well, we'll see, Souza. We have to look for fund. We need to do the same thing that the city did. Is we're going to have to look for funding for a demonstration project. But so anyway, but hopefully we can reciprocate. This time you guys can send us a letter of support. So one good turn deserves another.
Yeah.
Maybe people will finally slow down in Oakview, because people go fly in there in that stretch. I live in Oakview, and people fly in there. And it's like, oh my God. Because it's 35 in there, and people don't get that.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing with another passing lane. It's a really similar circumstance.
I heard some old timers talk about it. Used to be oak tree lined on the side of the road. When they expanded it, they removed the oaks, but it used to be very pretty downtown in Oakview with big oak trees on it. But that I don't know if that was late 50s, early 60s, somewhere in that realm. So old timers remember it, but it's I haven't seen photos. It'd be great to see some photographs of downtown Oakview, what it looked like.
Yeah, you know what? I'll reach out about that. That's a really good point, because I know just the person who might have those. I'm gonna reach out about that. So thank you. That's a great idea.
Yeah, if we beautify Oakview, then we can distribute the tourists through the whole valley instead of just in downtown Ojai. We can head some of them off at the pass. Oakview, that looks like a nice small town too. And then also, in case anyone is on the call from Creek Road, I haven't forgotten that Creek Road definitely still needs traffic calming infrastructure, and if it had a different mentality. Creek Road used to be a bicycle pedestrian friendly country road. And I think we should just have a campaign that explains to people that the price for living in Ojai is that you have to slow down. You can't have everything. And if you don't like it, just move near a freeway exit. That's my motto.
Okay, guys. Well, we will let you know of any updates, but appreciate your time coming on here and chatting with us and continuing to offer support and everything. So we will be in touch.
Thank you, Dana.
Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thanks.